Welcome back to Predicting the NFL with Mickey G, and I did not do my best this week. That is for sure, considering I went 6-7, which is by far my worst on the year. I'm now 97-64 overall, which is dumb because I was hoping that I'd reach 100 this past week, but it's gonna be this week because there's no way I will get less than 3 wins. I got one of the 3 special games right, and that is the upset, which is the Colts over the Titans. And boy, was I right! It wasn't even close. This was a game entirely dominated by the Colts, 38-10, just not even a question. And then we had the crap fest, which was the Raiders and the Cardinals. The Raiders won for whatever reason. They just hey, let's win a game. So they did in the last second field goal. Then there was the Monday night game, the game of the week, game of the year, over 100 points scored by the Chiefs and Rams. Now, this great game. Both offenses were stunning. The Rams defense played quite well, actually. It kind of helped, though, that at the end of the game, Mahomes didn't know what to do, so he just yeeted the ball into the air and got picked off twice. Just kind of helpful. But they had a couple fumbles. They had 5 total turnovers. And that kind of helps you win a game. You know what I mean? And then, so the next game after the special games is the Steelers-Jaguars. Now, this game, it was very close to being a great game. I loved this game up to the very point where the Jaguars lost. The Jaguars started out the game absolutely annihilating the Steelers' defense. They couldn't stop Leonard. They couldn't stop Carlos Hyde. They couldn't stop T.J. Yeldon. Bortles was playing well. Didn't throw any interception or anything. Defense was playing great. Picked off Ben 3 times, twice by Ramsey. And so they were playing fantastic football. Every once in a while there'd be a couple of hiccups. Bortles would get sacked maybe, stuff at the line, things like that. Defense maybe let them first down. They didn't need to. But for the most part, the Jaguars were solid. They were exactly what we expected from them this year, but they also did last year, okay? But then the second half came around. The offensive line realized, hey, we kind of suck, okay? If you're starting Eric Flowers, you're not really up for success, okay? The Jaguars decided in the second half, we're going to not block. We're going to let Bortles get hurried, let him get sacked, let him have to make tough decisions, have the ball batted down 3 or 4 times by the defensive linemen, and then having Leonard or Carlos or whoever was taking the handoff not be able to get more than 3 yards because our line sucks. Okay? The Steelers decided, let's actually make some interesting play calls, let's score, and let's just have a great game. Antonio Brown scored an easy touchdown on blown coverage, and it wasn't a difficult game for the Steelers in the second half to win. The Jaguars handed it to them. They couldn't do anything in the second half. They were horrible. And if the Jaguars could have a consistent offensive line, they could be a very dangerous team. But if they keep getting hurt, it's just not helpful. They definitely need to focus on that in this upcoming draft, because their receivers, they're all right. Bortles can do fine as long as he has a running game to be compatible with him. Okay? And even if Leonard goes down like he usually does, Carlos Hyde or T.J. Yeldon or Corey Grant can take the carries. They have 4 decent running backs who can all take time. The receivers are young, but they're getting better each year. Marquise Lee will be back, hopefully, and they'll be able to do that there. Austin Seferian-Jenkins had a great season before he got hurt. And now Ben Koyak, Niles Paul, everyone else that they got there, O'Shaughnessy, they're doing a great job. Their offense has the talent. It's the offensive line that is lacking. The defense is still good, unless they decide to get rid of Ramsey. But for the most part, their team is solid, except for their offensive line. If you can't do that, then you can't do anything. Enough about that. Let's move on, okay? The next game, we have the Ravens and the Bengals. Lamar Action Jackson, absolute animal, rushed for over 100 yards in his first career start and got the dub. Played a great game and did pretty darn well. The Broncos surprised me personally in beating the Chargers, who decided to have their worst game of the season. Phillip Rivers throwing multiple interceptions is just not a good look for him, and the whole team as a whole just did not play to their potential. The Texans, however, they decided to play really well, but like to keep the Redskins in the game for as long as possible. It also didn't help the Redskins that Alex Smith decided to break his tibia and fibia in the same field, and this 33 years later of Joe Theismann, the same score, and it just the parallels are insane. Okay, the same injury is just ripped to their season. I mean, they have Colt McCoy starting, which he's not that bad, but he's not the best. Okay. Moving on to the Packers Seahawks. Now, I thought this week was going to start off great because I picked the Seahawks to go out there and beat the Packers, and they did. And I'm like, all right, we're having a good start to the week here. But no such luck. The rest of the week was kind of trash. But congratulations, Russell Wilson, on playing a great game, and great job. Next was the Cowboys-Falcons. The Falcons did their best to lose their game, and they did it. They couldn't stop Ezekiel Elliott, and it's just there's lots of other factors that went into the game not being very good for them. Then there's the Giants-Buccaneers. Both teams confused what they were doing. Fitzmagic looking a lot like Jameis Winston, and Jameis Winston went into the game and played really, really well and came back from a very large deficit to throw an interception and lose the game. The Panthers have been falling apart the past 2 weeks, and it's kind of disappointing me. They lost to the Lions, who have been struggling, and who lost Kerryon Johnson this week. Big rip to my fantasy team. But for the most part, they could have won this game. It was 19-20. They just scored a touchdown. They needed an extra point to tie the game, and the teams are not learning. If you kick the extra point to tie the game, you have a better chance of winning. Going for two, yes, you get the win. But if you don't get it, then you automatically lose. Okay? There was still like a minute left on the clock to give them a chance, and they just gave it away. They just got to see what happened when Ohio State barely wins because the other team goes for two. All you have to do is kick the extra point. Go to overtime, and you're the team that's coming back, and you can go out there, kick the extra point, go into overtime, and win the game. That's all you need to do. And then there was the Saints-Eagles. The Saints are really good, so they just annihilated the Eagles, and that's really all that there is to it. The Bears-Vikings seems like it was a lot closer than it was. The Bears came out there, and they played a really good game. And then the second half, they decided to do what the Jaguars usually do and play conservative and try not to let the other team score by not trying to be aggressive. And so that's what they did, and so Kirk tried to lead a comeback, and he was close, but no cigar. And so the Bears were able to come out with a win. I am now 6-5 in the game of the week, 6-5 in the upset, and 7-4 in the crap fest. Moving on to the predictions. Well, the first game on the list is actually our upset of the week. It is the Browns at the Bengals. Now, the Browns, they are a very interesting team. They played really well last week. Actually, last week they were on a bye, but the previous week they played really well, and they're looking good with a new head coach. However, who they're looking to pick for the season is quite interesting. Going after a former Secretary of State whose only football anything is that they were on the college football playoff selection committee. But it's the Browns, so okay, whatever you want to do. But the Browns have been playing well. The Bengals have been falling terribly, and they might try to tank to get a better draft pick. So I think the Browns here, they have more drive, and they want to win more games, so they're going to get the dub here. Next is the Jaguars at Buffalo. Now, Buffalo is making their fatal mistake here. They're starting Josh Allen, who's coming off of an injury, instead of Matt Barkley, who just won them a game by 30 points. Now, Matt Barkley, greatest quarterback of all time, or Josh Allen, who's been iffy the whole season. The Bills picked Josh Allen. I personally would have picked Matt Barkley every day of the week, but I'm not the coach, and I'm not the GM. I don't make the decisions for the Buffalo Bills. Instead, I get to make decisions here, and the Jaguars are going to be ticked off from losing last week to the Steelers like I am, and they're going to go out there and they're going to win by 80 points. So, yeah. Next is the Colts-Dolphins. The Dolphins have been failing. They're a very disappointing team this year. They started out really well, then they decided to fall off a cliff. The Colts, on the other hand, have been playing incredibly well. Andrew Luck is looking fantastic, and so I believe the Colts continue that streak, and they go out and get the win here. Next is the Patriots at Jets. Now, the Patriots always like a little flirt with a loss here against the Jets, but the Jets have been playing quite terribly. So I don't think they can do it this week. The Patriots are getting the win here. Next is the Ravens, possibly playing Lamar again against the Raiders, who got their second win of the season. Congratulations there. But however, they're kind of trash. So the Ravens get the win here quite easily. Next is the Steelers at Broncos. Now, this is the Broncos team who just surprised the Chargers, and the Steelers who almost got surprised by the Jaguars. Now, this could be a closer game than expected and should be, but I still believe that, once again, the Steelers will find a way to squeeze out a victory and continue with winning. Next is the Texans-Titans, and the Texans are a far better team here, and it's not really competition. They're going to win this game. Next, we move on to the AFC-NFC with the Cardinals, who just lost to the Raiders, and the Chargers, who just lost to the Broncos. Chargers are going to be very disappointed with their performance, and they are going to absolutely annihilate the Cardinals here, getting the dub. Phil Rivers is going to throw for multiple touchdowns and 0 interceptions. That's my prediction. Next, on to the NFC, we have the Bears playing quite well against the Lions, who are somehow still winning games. The Bears are playing fantastically. If they can keep Trubisky safe in the pocket and allow him to make good decisions and not have turnovers, they will easily win this game against a less superior team in the Lions. Next is the Redskins, who are starting Colt McCoy at the Cowboys, who just beat the Panthers. I think this is a Cowboys team who you're surprising me every week, whether they win or they lose, and I think they might actually win this week, considering all of the injuries that the Redskins have to deal with. Next is the Falcons at Saints. This is going to be probably close to 100 points scored for the second week in a row, but the Saints are the better team by a lot, and they're going to win this game. Next is our crap fest of the week, the 49ers and the Buccaneers. Buccaneers deciding that they are a horrible team, and the 49ers deciding they're going to lose to the Giants. The Buccaneers, I don't want to pick them anymore. Whether they start Famous Jameis or they start Fitzpatrick, the deficit when they switch the quarterbacks is just too great for anyone to overcome. So I'm going to go with the 49ers here, having a consistent quarterback and actually keeping their team pretty straightforward. Next is the Giants at the Eagles. The Giants coming off a big victory, and the Eagles just looking less and less like a team. The Giants are starting to pick up a little bit. They're starting to look actually decent. Saquon's playing really well. Obama's getting 80 targets a game. Eli Manning is not looking absolute trash, which is a great help to the team. And so if they continue to play like they are now, they might actually have a chance at winning the division. So there's always that to consider. And they get the win here against the Eagles. Next is our game of the week. Now, I originally came into this going to pick the Panthers. But then I was thinking, they've lost 2 straight. And the teams that... I mean, the Steelers were better, yes. But they were playing well for the most of the season. But their last week is just a horrible loss. And the Seahawks have been playing incredibly. Playing quite well, and they're winning tough games against tough teams. So I feel like the Seahawks here might have more of a drive and be able to win here against the Panthers. And then our final game of the week is the Packers at the Vikings. Now, this is a Packers team who has been struggling a lot, and their team is just not very good. There's no weapons left for the Packers after Jimmy Graham trying to play with a broken thumb, and the Vikings on the other hand, they have a defense that's playing decently well, and they need to protect Kirk and have him make good decisions, and they'll win this game, and I believe that they do. That is all for this week. Thank you for watching, and as always, adios.